Welcome one and all to another edition of the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, brought to you by Water Cleanup of Florida. Are you a South Florida property owner with an insurance claim? Are you dealing with water, mold, or fire damage to your home or business? Are you having trouble locating a 5-star rated general contractor that is fully licensed, certified, and insured? If the answer to any of these questions is yes, then Water Cleanup of Florida is here for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with over 60 years of combined experience. Michael, Robert, George, their entire team, they can handle any size property damage disaster. When an unexpected damage occurs to your home or business, you need specialized, fast, and reliable services. Water Cleanup of Florida understands the impact and stress an unexpected disaster may cause. Their objective is to make the cleanup and insurance claim process painless and hassle-free. Plus, again, with licensed contractors, they'll not only get it done, they'll make it look brand new. Water Cleanup of Florida is now an authorized dealer of Eurocraft cabinets, so premier kitchen, bath, and laundry cabinetry, countertops, and other accessories are available for you and your viewing at their showroom in Boca Raton, or if you prefer to shop from your home or office, then Water Cleanup of Florida will send one of their design specialists to you with samples and products that fit your style and budget. Just call Michael anytime on his personal cell, 954-579-0356. Again, that's 954-579-0356. Or visit their website at WCUFL.com. Again, WCUFL.com. Check out the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Water Cleanup FL. And with over 80 5-star reviews on Google and Facebook, Water Cleanup of Florida, if you have the schmutz, they have the guts. For a long time this season, the Heat had lots of schmutz. They were full of schmutz. That is not the case anymore. Guts is right now the moniker for the Miami Heat, and the emotion and the style of play we're seeing from them. They now are up 3-0 on the once 97% favorite Boston Celtics per ESPN's data that has been, and analytics that has been totally skewered and ran through the mud the last week or so, as the Heat are now up 3-0. We talk with Miami Heat great, now Detroit Pistons analyst, NBA analyst Grant Long, about how the Heat and the Celtics now sit with the Heat up 3-0. Game 4 coming up Tuesday as the Heat try to close out the Boston Celtics. We love seeing this. We love talking to Grant about the Miami Heat and their 3-0 lead over the Boston Celtics right here on the Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
All right, let's get into some buckets here. You want to take a pause here or just bring Grant Long right into the program?
Bring him on now. He's ready to go.
Okay, good. Let's do that because we don't want to hold this man up. He's obviously got many important considerations, and we can't believe that he's gracious enough to spend so much time with us here on the Defo Show. So on Peel Yourself Off the Mat Monday, we welcome to the program one of our favorites when it comes to discussing anything, especially the game of basketball, an original member of the Miami Heat. And it might have been tough to envision that team doing what this current team is doing right now, in spite of the greatness of one Grant Long, who joins us here on the program. Grant, how are you, my friend?
Hey, man, I'm doing great, guys. How are you? And by the way, our team could go this far. The team that we had, maybe I'm thinking I'm sorry. Maybe
you had the original team there. I mean, holy moly, that was a rough go there that first season, but we loved it. I mean, as fans, we were so happy to have basketball here, Grant. I remember, I was big into basketball. We went to as many games as we could, and it was fantastic. I think that you might have had a win at some point against Utah, and I remember seeing like a totally dejected Jerry Sloan after the game, talking about that loss, and that was a game I went in the locker room, the Utah locker room, and I actually. I tried to interview Manute Bol, see if I could get a couple of, quotes from Manute Bol for some reason. And so I asked him a question. I'll never forget this. And he said he'd be happy to answer as soon as I got off of his foot, which I was standing on, even though I was 3 feet away from this guy, Grant. His foot was the size like I had flippers on this guy. It was unbelievable.
And that was remarkable. And I know you're telling the story right because Manute Bol, I don't know why, for some odd reason, he had to wear a size 19 or whatever, but he always wore 2 sizes too small because literally every time he took his shoes off, his toes were bleeding.
Oh,
and I'm
geez.
thinking, what's going on with him?
I mean, his deal with Nike obviously wasn't as lucrative as some other players in the league, where they couldn't even get him the right size. All right, what do you make of this? Come on, Grant. You've been around this game forever. All of a sudden, we're looking at three guys in last night's game for the Miami Heat: Vincent Robinson and Caleb Martin, combined from the three-point stripe, beyond the stripe, 25 of 36. And then you're looking at the two stars. I mean, this is an autopsy in the box score here for Boston. Tatum and Brown combined 1 for 14 on three-point shots. I mean, what could possibly explain this flat effort by the Boston Celtics and remarkable run by the Miami Heat right now?
Well, here's the explanation. When you rely that much on your superstars, it's inevitable that they're going to have games where they don't perform well. And if you don't have a supporting cast who are capable of putting up big numbers, then this is what can happen. Timing couldn't be worse for the Boston Celtics and their stars not to come up big, but they've done it. It's inevitable. Like I said, with so many games, there's no timing to this. Everybody wants to play well. Those superstars want to play well during this time, but you can't control that. And this is one of those spells where they're not playing well. They didn't shoot the ball well. Not to say that they won't come out the next game and burn it up, but last night they did not do it very well, and that just happens that way. Now, the better explanation on the Miami Heat side is, and this is what I said early on, the way that the Miami Heat can beat the Boston Celtics is that they have to spread the wealth. It can't be Jimmy Butler gets 40 and everybody else gets 2, 10, or 9. Everybody, because the Heat has players who are capable of what we saw yesterday. The Boston Celtics don't have ancillary players who can put up big numbers. They are a great supporting cast to support those other guys, to support Tatum and Brown, but they can't go on their own and go rogue in the offense and get big numbers. That's the experience or the greatness of Jimmy Butler, and I've always said this, that he empowers his other teammates. And what I mean by that is, it's like, you guys go play. You don't have to give me the ball every time down the floor. You do not have to do that. Go play your game. I'll find my shots. I'll impact the game. You don't have to help me. And that gives the other guys an opportunity to go explore their offense and get their shots and take their shots without having to look over their shoulder and say, hey, are we pissing Jimmy Butler off by taking too many shots? No, you're not. He wants you to do that. And that's what we're saying. His supporting cast, they're playing just as well as he could play.
Well, and it's funny you say that, and I was going to say something else, but Defo used to laugh at me because I would complain about Butler because they would have these games, the last 4 years, they would have these games in the playoffs where Butler would dominate, and the next game he would barely do anything, and it would be like, what are you doing, dude? Like, they needed you to do more. But he believed in this team so much, and he said it all. He and Spo said that all year. Like when they were playing some horrendous basketball, they both were like, "I don't care, I believe." And people were like, "Well, Butler wants out," and Spo and Butler have a thing, and they laughed because they both were on the same page. They're like, "Look, you guys don't have to believe in this team. We do. I'm telling you, I believe in this team. Watch." And you see it like in these moments where Gabe Vincent is 2 games ago in game 2 when it's a 2-point lead and the Celtics have charged back. And the refs had done some questionable stuff. Gabe Vincent, early in the shot clock, under a minute, like, I'm shooting a 20-foot 2. And he does. And that literally was the icing of the game. And it's like, Jesus, where the hell does he get balls to do that? But, like, when your coach and your best player have that much confidence in you, I guess as a role player, it emboldens you to feel like, screw you, Tatum. I can do, in a short period of time, everything you can do.
100%, Lubie, 100%. It empowers those guys to play well. We were marveling over it, you know, and obviously you guys know it, I know it, the basketball people know it, but there's 4 guys on that Miami Heat team, undrafted,
yeah,
and they're having big impact on playoff situation type games. And we were talking about the fact that, you know what, a whole lot of teams tanked this past season, in hopes of getting this great player, this guy's going to change their franchise. I mean, they could have did that. But in that culture that they've created, they said, no, we're not tanking. We're going to play. We're going to play our best guys, and we're going to go out and try to win basketball games. We don't care who's at stake, who's the number 1 pick, who gets it. They didn't care. And that's what everybody is impressed and feeling really good about the Miami Heat, because that's the approach that they took. They said, let's go win basketball games, and we'll just see what happens. We're not in this sweepstakes to see who gets the number one pick. It could have went either way. They could have been out of the playoffs, didn't make the play, and all of those things could have happened. But they didn't. That's the culture that they've created. And I tell you what, it's so refreshing to see a team like that. Just go play. Just go compete, man, with the guys that you have, and let's see what happens. Like I said, it's no guarantee that your number one pick, number two pick, number three pick is going to happen, because you look at the Miami Heat, they got 4 undrafted guys, and they're impacting the game. So who cares about your draft pick? Who cares about the number one pick? Guys that you have.
I haven't been a guy on any team that I played on at any reasonable level of competition in basketball. I was deep on the bench. I am naturally a huge fan, Grant Long, of garbage time. There was always a possibility I might be able to make a box score in a newspaper by hoisting one. We didn't have 3-point shots back then, but that garbage time yesterday, which began in the fourth quarter when everybody got pulled. Was that the ugliest collection of pasty white scrubs you've ever seen on the Boston Celtics? I thought they were going to throw like Mel Counts and Bailey Howell out there. For a couple of minutes. That was an ugly group that they sent out there on the floor. And Lubie was worried that the Celtics might make a little comeback and you'd have to throw your starters back in the game.
It was.
Those guys had never seen the floor in a playoff situation ever.
Yeah.
Ever. And that's a clear indication that the Celtics had obviously given up, because they got guys that probably said, oh, my God, I got to go in. I don't even have my shorts on. I don't have a jersey on. Somebody probably had to go in the back and get one of those guys a jersey, because I'm sure they were prepared to go in the game. They were not prepared to go in the game. Nobody foresaw it going like that.
No, one guy was wearing a Danny Ainge jersey. I guess, he didn't realize that he had picked up the wrong thing, because he had never anticipated taking the warm-up jacket off. What did you think about the UD chant? Would you have thrown Udonis Haslem out there on the floor?
Well, I think it's one of those you go and you ask him, and I'm sure that's what Spo did. He went and asked him, hey, do you want some of this? You want to go in? And that was his choice. He's earned the right to say, I'll sit this one out or I'm going in.
Yeah.
And that's when you're that long in the tooth, if you will, you have those opportunities. When you've done as much for UD, done as much for the organization as UD has, you have that opportunity to say yes or no.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it'd be worth it. You'd have to take a shower then, and just run up and down the court for half a minute, maybe get a dunk against some scrub that looked like Henry Finkel they threw out there for the Celtics. All right, the Heat obviously, it looked to actually be a better team. Lubie was the subject of massive ridicule from several of the experts we've had on the show here, guys whose opinion we respect, and he suggested that the Heat roster wasn't so vastly inferior to the Celtics roster, which I guess is a lot easier to say now. But he was saying this before the series. And people, you can't believe the derisive comments that he received in return from people threatening never to do the show again, that somebody would express like a Stephen A. Smith-like ridiculous opinion and trying to back it up. But it doesn't seem, look, the Heat bench is smoking the Boston Celtics reserves in this series so far.
And you're right. And here's the thing. That was one of the question marks coming in. Where are the rest of the guys? Where are these guys that are going to step up? And it's been the perfect opportunity. And although they have been missing in action, so to speak, a lot of games, but so far in the postseason, they've been there when called upon. And I think that's what's great about what we're seeing from the Miami Heat. It's not just been Jimmy Butler and his heroics. Now, he's had some. And that's what you're supposed to do with your superstars. Put them in those moments to show the rest of the world why these guys are special. They don't have to be special for 48 minutes. They just have to be special to close the game. They have to be special in those moments where you increase the lead or you win the basketball game. But no superstar is special for 48 minutes. That's why they're superstars, because they can go to another level that everybody else can't get to. And the Miami Heat provides those opportunities for Jimmy Butler late in games, or when they need a 7-game stretch. Remember when the incident where, I forgot which player it was for the Celtics, who got in Jimmy Butler's face.
Grant
and all of a sudden,
Williams.
okay. Yeah, Grant
Williams. My favorite
what, you
moment
poked that bear? Really? You poked that bear?
It looked like a Don King weigh-in. What was it?
What are you doing?
Yeah. Your brother maybe could have gotten into a stare down like that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and we know what would have happened there, right?
Yeah, he probably would have fainted. Yeah. And not with the jab. Lubie's got something for you, Grant.
Well, I was going to say, and you brought it up, that the Celtics themselves put in, then Defo make fun of their deep bench. But beginning of the fourth, I get it was 30 points. And at that point, Brown and Tatum not only were not able to score, they were starting to turn the ball over. Their defense was a little suspect. And I know sometimes coaches will like try and wake players up by putting them on the bench. But the way that he literally put the deep bench in to start the fourth was what we most times coaches will, I don't know if they admit to it, but we know it to be them waving the white flag. Was that too early? And I get it, 30 points is a lot. Mathematically, that's almost impossible to come back in the fourth quarter. But you have another game, and they were the favorite in every game. Like, to me, it was weird that Missoula took out all the starters and put in, like, the deep bench to begin an entire quarter.
Yeah, and I don't think that's the time to teach your starters a lesson. I don't know what lesson they learned in that one because you want to leave your guys on the floor to maybe because obviously that wasn't who those guys were. They play better than that. So if I'm a player, I want to play. I want to continue to play and try to work myself out of this funk that I'm apparently in during this game. So that's to me, I believe, is the inexperience of that coach coming through. Because if you're a player, you want to work through that. Maybe you don't win the game, but you want to see your shots go through the basket. You want to leave on the court, even though you lose the game. You want to leave knowing that, you know what, I got out of that funk. I made a few shots in the fourth quarter. I got my rhythm back. Now going into the next game, I feel pretty good about my offense. Because as it stands, you took those guys out of the ball game and didn't start them in the fourth quarter. Now they're thinking, wow, I got to find somewhere to get my shot back. The best time to get your shot back is actually during the game, in-game competition, not necessarily in practice.
149-0 under these circumstances. Both teams or both series actually have 3-0 leaders with the Denver Nuggets, and we'll get into that a little bit with the Lakers and the Nuggets and what's transpired there. And the Miami Heat now up 3-0. Short of digging up the body of Red Auerbach and puffing him up as if he was like Weekend at Bernie's, can you envision Boston getting back into this series, Grant Long, in any way?
No, it's not. It's going to be very difficult, and it's not so much the Celtics. It's more the Miami Heat. It's why they won't get to it because they know how difficult it is, and you know if it was another team, I might even lean toward it. But I know the Miami Heat and the culture that they've created. I know Pat Riley. I know Eric Spoelstra. And they've been there before, not necessarily 3-1 or 3-0 lead, but they've been in this playoff situation before, and they understand how difficult it is to close out a team. They know how difficult it is to get wins, particularly in the postseason. So they're not going to just look at this and say, hey, we've got 4 chances to get one game. No, they're trying to get this thing over with as quickly as possible. So I know that they're going to take the game and enter the game with the right disposition. I have no qualms about whether or not they'll be prepared to try to close out the series. Of course, it's going to be very difficult, but they'll really be prepared to close out this series.
We're just hoping to dig all the bodies out of Biscayne Bay, the Celtic bodies that are now floating face down in Biscayne Bay, Grant Long, which, they ran them right out of the building there and into the backyard. That was pretty incredible. I don't know that anybody could have anticipated that. And the national media continues to, they were in shock. Even during the ball game, as the Celtics were trailing badly and looking like they were playing clown ball, you had the announcing crew was sitting, oh, well, you know what? It's only a matter of time before they turn it on, and it's too good of a team. You're like, you got to be kidding me, man. This team is getting smoked. All right, I had a little bit of hope. I was telling Lubie all season, Grant Long, not to sleep on the Lakers. And, the Lakers get by Memphis, maybe some circumstances there, kind of helped him out a little bit, intangible stuff like the Jean Morant. Well, he was injured also, partially in that series, even though he did play. They come back. They beat Golden State. That was a weird series where they were trading blowouts, Golden State and the Lakers. And then I gave them a shot against Denver, but Denver's proving to be a little bit too good and probably, I don't know, is it fair to say that they appear to be the best of the teams that are left in the postseason right now with, Boston and both L.A. hanging by a thread?
And they are playing an outstanding brand of basketball.
And, it's fun to watch.
There was a whole lot of talk about maybe the Joker not receiving his third MVP, and he is certainly playing like he deserves it. That's for sure. His team is there
Yes.
in the thick of the 3-0 lead against the Lakers. But let me say this too, and all the experts are always, it's easy to say it now, and a lot of them are saying, well, LeBron James is finally, his father time has caught up to him. He's getting a little long in the tooth. That's the easy cop out to say LeBron James is getting older. His father time has caught up to him. He's playing some very, very good basketball. His numbers indicate he is in every basketball game. Simply put, like you said, Defo, Denver just may be the best basketball team playing right now, and the Lakers ran into them. It's simply put, it's not anything a knock against LeBron that he's too old to be playing. His numbers are great. They are just a better team, and I'll even go out on a limb here. I'll be out on that limb by myself. That I say the Lakers possibly get 2 games out of this. Now, remember I said it. I think the Lakers somehow get 2 games out of this. I really do. I think they somehow get 2 games out of it.
I wasn't seeing that, Grant Long. I have to say, I mean, Jamal Murray's looked terrific. And, Jokic didn't do much in the first 3 quarters of the game, but he has 15 in the fourth quarter. His interior passing, I mean, who was the best of the guys that you've seen over the years? People might say Bill Walton. Shaq actually was a very good interior passer out of the post. But have you seen? I mean, this guy's as good as any of them, is he not? Or is it just that he's the guy that's in the here and now? Who are some of the guys that you admired in that capacity with the interior passing out of the post?
Well, Chris Webber was a really good passer. I remember.
Oh yeah, Chris Webber too. Yeah.
Yeah. Sacramento offense, they utilized a lot of their post players to make passes, so we got a chance to see just what those guys had to offer. We saw Vlade Divac, even with the Lakers, Vlade was a
yes,
passer.
very good.
And then when he went to the Sacramento Kings, he got into that. But I think what we're marveling at is that, remember, Denver Nuggets, they run their offense through Jokic. But the reason is because he makes great decisions with the basketball, and that's what we're seeing. He does make some very, very good passes and some timely passes, but his decision-making, to me, is what I marvel at, because he always makes the right decision, almost like a quarterback where he does his check down. Okay, this guy's not open, that guy's not open. Let me go deep, or let me throw underneath the coverage. That's where Jokic is. He reads the defense very well, and he makes the appropriate pass. And I think that's where we're seeing, that's what I marvel at. Again, his decisions with the basketball, because just about every possession, he's got the ball in his hands to make a decision. And more times than not, he makes the right decision. So the onlookers are saying, oh, what a great pass, what a great pass. I'm saying the decision to make that pass versus another one that may not get to his teammate or might go out of bounds, that's what I look at and say, wow, that's impressive, because he always seems to make the right decision where the pass should go.
Their ability to, score in spurts also, when it seems like they're finally back on the ropes a little bit, has been pretty impressive all throughout. And you could speak to, I mean, how much of a differential is it when you're a road team in Denver, Grant Long? I mean, at what point do you start to feel like you need, life support?
Yeah, the mountain air is up there, that's for sure. It does have an effect for you. If you're in that city for a while, remember I think it's right there in the building that you're a mile above sea level.
Yeah.
So that does play a part if you're there for a while, and sometimes it can just be in your head. But again, with the Denver Nuggets, I think you touched on it, Defo. Murray, the game before the game 2, I believe. Yeah, he had an outstanding fourth quarter or second half. And then he followed it up with 30 points in the first half in the next game.
Yep.
So
it's been brilliant.
He's on a roll. You can't defend that kind of stuff. And then, like you said, he got 30 points in the first half, and the Joker closed it out with his impact in the fourth quarter. So they're playing in sync. They're playing in unison. Remember, in that instance, Jokic is like Jimmy Butler. He's like, okay, Murray, you got it. You go do your thing. I'll find a way to impact the game. And it was the fourth quarter for the Joker that he impacted the game. The other guys on that Denver Nuggets team, much like the Miami Heat team, they understand that they are empowered as well. Go get your offense. Don't rely so much on your premier player and Jokic, your superstar. He'll find a way to get himself in the game, and he does.
Yeah, they have enough tough guys in there to mix it up. So, well-balanced team that's playing at a very high level right now. All right, let's do a little premature evaluation. Both teams up 3-0. Nobody's ever come back from a 3-0 deficit, so let's assume that they both move on. How would you size up a matchup of the current Heat, the way they're playing, and the Denver Nuggets? What kind of chance would you give to the Miami Heat? Certainly, I would imagine more than the 3% that ESPN gave them to beat the Celtics in this series. What numbers were they looking at? I mean, what kind of analytics went into that? I would hate to think that's the future of artificial intelligence if they came up with a ratio like that. But what kind of matchup do you think this would be, Denver and the Miami Heat?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good one. I think a lot will be resting on the shoulders of Bam Adebayo because he is going to be tasked with not stopping the Joker because nobody's going to stop him. You got to at least slow him down. And we just talked about how well he passes the ball. Well, you got to put pressure on him. You can't let him survey the floor. It's like Tom Brady in the pocket. If you don't put any pressure on him, he'll pick you apart. And that's the same thing with Jokic. If you don't put any pressure on him, he's able to survey the floor and make all the right passes. So you've got to apply some pressure there where he can't just look and see who's open and then make those passes. It has to be some type of disruption of the offensive rhythm that goes through Jokic. And I know for a fact that Spoelstra will be up on that. He'll aware or make his team aware of those types of things. And like I said, you're not going to stop him, but you're going to continue to put pressure on him to make the plays and make the right plays. The last thing I'll say is that Jokic is one of those guys who can take the ball off the glass. But remember, the guy's over 7 feet tall. Yeah. And I've seen him lumber up the floor. They say it's a fast break. Well, he's walking the ball up the floor. That's not a fast break.
He has a fast break.
That is fast for him, yes.
There's no pressure on the guy. How do you let a 7-footer bring the ball up the floor and not apply any pressure to him and force him to make a pass? But he does that. They do it. They just let him bring the ball up the floor. But I don't think Eric Spoelstra and his team will allow him to make it that easy for him to just bring the ball over the front or over the timeline without any pressure.
I mean, he dribbles the ball. I don't know if you remember the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but the basketball scene where the Chief, has the ball in his hands. It looks like Jokic when he's crossing mid-court. It just doesn't appear, that he's athletic enough to, make the game look so easy. But he seems to do everything well. How delicious is this, you think, for Pat Riley? If he knocks off the Boston Celtics? I mean, with the history that he has with that franchise as an opponent, whether it was with the Showtime Lakers, the Knicks, or then later on with whatever rivalry the Celtics and Heat had, which, as you said, when Larry Bird was grabbing your shorts and getting away with it, it probably, was a little bit tense. But can you characterize or give us any idea what do you think Pat Riley's feeling about this? We know how competitive he is.
Hey, listen, if I'm Pat Riley, I've got my chest out. Now, I'm not doing it publicly, but believe me, if in my talks and in my conferences with Eric Spoelstra, I'm giving him a little bit extra, saying, hey, you've got to close this thing out. You know it. I'm Pat Riley. I've got my chest out a little bit because here's the thing, and here's the reason why, because they put together a team that has been very competitive. And I think, a couple of years ago, everybody was talking about this is Coach Spoelstra's best year of coaching. This is his best job of coaching that he's done. But at the same time, and he was doing a very good job of coaching. And remember, he's the second longest tenured coach right now with the one team behind Popovich. So that continuity says a lot as well, that he's been there. They understand the culture they've created. You can't say enough about that, keeping your coach in place. Now, certainly it has something to do with him winning, that he's been in place this long. But the fact is that they've had that continuity with this team. And for Pat Riley to say, we talk about Spoelstra doing a great job coaching. This is probably Pat Riley's best job of assembling this kind of team and to get that much out of the team that he's assembled. Like we talked about earlier, 4 undrafted players. This may be the first time that Pat Riley has ever assembled a team like this, but has had this amount of success with those players as well. So surely he's got his chest out, and it's a feather in his cap.
We're not big believers in the chip on the shoulder, having never experienced that sort of thing at the pro level. But, we didn't realize that Max Strus had possibly a chip on the shoulder against the Boston Celtics because they kept Taco Fall while cutting him. And, so they were part of, sort of a circus element. And they let him go adrift, and maybe that's part of the reason that he's been so motivated in the series against the Boston Celtics. Grant Long, always a pleasure, my friend. And Always great having you on the program. It should be a lot of fun the rest of the way. Totally unanticipated to see an 8th seed like this gel at this time, and you would think talent would eventually, prevail, but a weird odyssey by the Miami Heat through the Eastern Conference, and with a chance to maybe sweep the Boston Celtics, which would really be something. Is there anything Missoula can do? I mean, except throw his hands in the air at the grease board there and say, guys, this is it. I mean, do you see any motivational tool that he can use? And to what extent, is a coach responsible for a game like, game 3 was?
Well, like I said, you didn't expect the Boston Celtics superstars to not be equipped to shoot from the 3-point line. But I'll say this, that's a lot of shots from the 3-point line that didn't go in. At some point, you've got to say, maybe it's not working from distance tonight. I've got to maybe change the game up.
Yeah.
In-game adjustment is huge in the playoffs. You can't continue to go the same route when you're not having success. And it sounds like that's what the Boston Celtics did. They just continued to shoot, or the superstars continued to shoot from distance, and it wasn't happening. You got to do something else. Like I said, in-game adjustments are huge during the playoffs because you don't have a second chance. You got to make it happen during that game. If it's not working, take another course of action, and maybe that's what we'll see from the Boston Celtics in the next game. If it's not going right well, you can't wait and say, I got to give my superstars a chance to turn it around and do this and do that. As a coach, you have to make the necessary adjustments because you can't get too far behind in the playoff game because, once you fall down 10 or 12 points and you're playing a good playoff team, they're not going to let you back in the basketball game.
I don't want to bring this up. You did call it. You said San Antonio would win the Wemby sweepstakes. Did you guys have Elgin Baylor sitting in the chair there at the draft lottery, the Detroit Pistons?
1-5. What was that?
Well, what kind of a dismal fall was that? How deflating was that for the organization? I guess, there'll still be a very good player there, according to most. There's some good players in the draft.
Yeah, I don't see any good players at F5. I'm sorry.
Oh, no? Not exactly the Wemby sweepstakes.
Wemby was right there.
Yeah,
maybe Neil Walker. Well, no, he's dead, unfortunately. But
I don't know how you go from at the best chance at the number 1 pick to falling all the way to 5.
What was that? Yeah.
How does that happen? That had to be deflating for the Pistons organization. It had to be because everybody around here was ready. I mean, there were jerseys almost ready to be printed. There was
God! Imagine.
And now it's like, hold the presses, stop the presses, stop the jersey.
Life-size Wemby posters were being given away. I mean, that had to be really, really depressing. Who was in the chair? Do we know representing the Pistons?
I believe it was Ben Wallace who
yes,
got
it was
the.
Ben Wallace.
No, not Ben Wallace. Are you kidding me?
Wallace.
Yeah, he got the number 1. He was there last time when they got Cade Cunningham, so he was there for that one.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, maybe they should reconsider who their lucky charm should be after this. That was disastrous. Grant, we love you, man. Great stuff as always, and we thank you so much. We'll talk to you again, and could be looking at a little Denver Heat, which would be phenomenal. So if all goes according to statistical data, that'll be the matchup, and who knows? I mean, the Heat might write a phenomenal story this year. It'd be great. Thanks so much for being with us.
All right, guys. Enjoy your day.
Thanks, Grant, man.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Grant has Heat black and red and white, I guess, is the Heat's colors, running through his veins. Appreciate his take. And going into this series, a lot of people thought the Celtics had the talent advantage. I guess on paper I said, sure, they have a lean, and that's fine. But this idea that they're just vastly better on the roster, I thought was strange from the playoff perspective. Yeah, the regular season, fine, but we're not in the regular season. We're in the playoffs, and it's clear the Heat are playing very differently than they play in the regular season. And right now they're up 3-0. And it is a lot of, the Celtics aren't hitting shots. But the Heat are also playing really hard. And as much as they go through some lulls, the Celtics' lulls seem to be a little bit longer and more vast. We'll see what happens game 4. Again, I don't move on to the finals until the conference finals are over. The Heat are up 3-0. That is a commanding lead. But let's close it out. And what's interesting is that Jimmy Butler didn't have to do everything. Bam didn't have to do everything. They set the tone. They played strong early. And then Caleb Martin. And Gabe Vincent was spectacular. And Duncan Robinson woke up. Lowry wasn't scoring a lot, but he was in the middle of things. Kevin Love got them off early. Didn't have to play much later. Supposedly had an ankle thing, but seems to be fine from all reports. They came together as a group, and they played as a group, and they just kept trucking, and they went on to an easy win and a very joyful win for South Florida Nation, South Florida faithful. Don't want to forget the Florida Panthers. They are now up 2-0 on the heavily favored Carolina Hurricanes, and they have Game 3 tonight, Monday night, to see if they can go up and match the Miami Heat's 3-0 Eastern Conference Final Series lead. We will talk lots about that. Excited for the playoff action that continues throughout the South Florida region, and we will definitely have more for you tomorrow morning. Just check us out right here, actually. Defo on 5 on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, a daily occurrence. Check us out mornings on South Florida Live, 7 to 9, if you want the expanded edition of what we do. We have a lot of guests. We have a lot of fun. Been doing a show for well over a decade together now here in the video space. Check us out, South Florida Live, 7 to 9. Check us out on our national podcast, the Believe Network, BLEAV.com. Search After Hours. And lots of days, our South Florida Stu content right here. The Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.